56 sports, ganyan po karami ang inilaro, no? Na mga pampalakasan dito po sa katatapos na Southeast Asian Games na bukod po sa na-highlight ang ganda ng ating bansa ay nakakatuwang isipin lalo na po rito sa ating program na yung mga tinutulungan po nating sports na hindi masyadong nakikilala o nabibigyan ng tamang pansin ay finally nabigyan po ng karampatang atensyon at marami po sa kanila ay talaga namang masasabi natin na na-embrace ng ating mga Filipino sports fans. And this, despite ito pong pandemic na talaga namang nakaapekto sa hindi lamang sa sports kundi sa maraming aspeto po ng ating buhay. But despite that, ay life must go on. At dito po sa ating program ay tuloy-tuloy po ang ating pakikipagkwentuhan at pagbibigay sa inyo ng mga balitang sports. Isa po sa ating pag-uusapan ay itong sport na floorball. And joining us to discuss updates at kung ano na ang kanilang mga plano ay ang Pangulo po ng Philippine Floorball Association, Mr. Ralph Ramos, at ang kanilang Vice President Marco Angelo Ortiz. Gentlemen, magandang hapon at welcome sa PTV Sports.
Good afternoon, Sir Dennis. Good afternoon sa ating mga viewers. Thank you for having us.
Alright, unahin ko na muna siguro si Ralph being the president of the sport na floorball. Ralph, right now, I guess ngayon lang tayo magkakakwentuhan since the pandemic. Kumusta na ba yung ating adjustment in terms of yung mga programa natin at ano ba ang mga plano natin so far pagdating dito sa floorball?
Yes, definitely. There's been a lot of changes sa plano natin pagdating sa floorball. So simula ng pandemic noong March, around March, so we had to really cancel yung ating mga league. Karaniwan, we hold actually during that time, April, yung ating finals or playoffs ng ating league, mga floorball clubs. So we had to cancel that. And of course, past few months, talagang we really planning how we can get back, everyone to play. So we're fortunate to have really bright na mga people working to really at least get the sport out still to a lot of people. So ngayon may mga drive or mga programs na usually through social media, mga floorball campaign. So basically featuring our mga clubs, and then some floorball players, so sharing their experience playing the sport and sharing also their know-how in the sport. So in fact, we have our women's floorball national team organizing a workout program which they show sa mga social media pages natin. So for all of our floorball players and for everyone to follow. And at least even during this time, we maintain and keep yung physical fitness or at least yung floorball skills ng ating mga players. Pero for now, talagang with the setup natin ngayon, talagang walang face-to-face tayo na training or sa ating mga clubs. Pero in general, in the floorball, even international floorball, there are initiatives na rin ng mga virtual floorball skills challenge. So basically, yung mga players, they get to showcase their skill, their talent in like playing floorball, or at least during or in their comforts of their home. And in fact, the IFF or the International Floorball Federation has launched this virtual floorball skills challenge. So yun yung ilan sa mga programa na ginagawa natin to at least try to promote and still maintain awareness and promote the sport sa ating bansa.
How bad in a lot of ways itong nangyaring pandemic, specifically for guys like you na practitioner ng sport, sabi ko kanina, we're coming off itong SEA Games na marami, including your sport, nakakuha ng pagkilala, ng attention at the very least sa mga sports fans. Ano? Pero ano yung mga naging hindi magandang epekto and magandang epekto na rin in so many ways dito sa nangyaring epekto ng pandemic sa inyo?
Well, first of all, we do appreciate na yung mga community members natin na nandiyan pa rin despite the fact that we are facing this pandemic. Kaya lang talagang majorly hit yung mga plano na sasalihang competitions because we were already set on joining a few international competitions. So maraming nalungkot, maraming hindi natuwa at maraming naapektuhan. No? Hindi lang sa atin pero dahil dun sa organizers din na ini-expect na makakasama tayo doon sa tournament sa sasalihan sana natin. Hindi naging maganda yung epekto. Una-una, financial, medyo hindi rin talaga maganda yung tinakbo when it comes to, let's say, pagbigay ng registration fees for the upcoming tournament sana. Meron tayong na parang nawala na opportunities doon sa nangyaring pandemic. So on the good side naman, dito nakikita yung resiliency ng ating mga athletes and also the community members. Bakit? Dahil kahit wala yung actual play of floorball, no, makikita natin na nagtutulungan yung mga community members natin when it comes to, like, let's say, working out together online. No, nandyan lahat sila. And also at the same time, mas naging accessible yung mga tao. So ngayon, hindi na uso yung face-to-face meet-up with them. So mas naging accessible sila kasi kahit saan ako or kahit saan sila or kahit saan si Sir Ralph, pwede tayo mag-usap, no, when it comes to, like, let's say, online platform. So yun naman ang kagandahan na pinakita sa atin ng pandemic na ito na the community doesn't stop there. No? So with this pandemic, nagkaroon tayo ng chance na ipakita natin yung resiliency ng ating mga athletes and also at the same time the officials and the community members na kung saan ay makakapagtulungan pa rin kahit ganito yung situation natin.
And Marco, follow-up ko lang, ano yung gains natin after the SEA Games? And shall we say na malaki na itulong ng hosting ng SEA Games dito sa ating bansa pagdating sa sport ninyo?
Yes, definitely. So definitely talaga, lalo nung nagtala tayo ng first win ng Philippines actually came from floorball, men and women team. No? So tayo yung unang nanalo nung SEA Games. Kung nakatulong ba yung pag-host natin dun sa sport? Yes, definitely. Inaabangan ito actually not just the Filipino members of the floorball community but also everyone in the International Floorball Federation. Bakit? Kasi very important ito doon sa paglalabi nila na maisali ang floorball sa Olympics, no? So isa ito na paraan para mapalaganap din ang floorball, no? So doon sa pag-host natin, we were one step closer to achieving the goal of the international floorball community to have the sport join the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Ralph, sa mga panahon ngayon, lalo sa mga katulad ninyo, no, meron kayong tournaments and you're an organized sports group, yung term na bubble is a very exciting word, and we saw that with the NBA. We're seeing that now dito sa PBA. Kayo ba meron bang kayong plano na gano'n na magsagawa ng sarili ninyong bubble, whether as training or another tournament?
As of the moment, hindi pa namin napag-uusapan o consider yung pag-put up ng bubble. As we know, we're waiting for the guidelines that being set by the IATF, the joint task force ng PSC and the CAG. And I think right now, ang priority talaga ng task force ngayon is to have as guidelines sa ating mga Olympic hopefuls. No? Unfortunately, ang sport natin ng floorball ay hindi pa isa dun sa mga pa-prioritize, no, ng ating task force. As of the moment, whole bubble talagang alam din na yun. We have to weigh din syempre yung mga pros and cons para dito. No? We know na hindi ito basta-basta. Talagang we have really strict protocol and definitely would be quite costly. No? I think sa situation ng mga teams natin, ng mga clubs ngayon, I think wala pa tayo dun sa ganong kapasidad. So, but again, we look forward na things would get better, and then hopefully in the next, normal, we get back to the quite normal na nakasanayan natin. Pero yeah, so we just wait for the guidelines being set by our authorities as of the moment.
Yeah. And Ralph, as president of the Floorball Association, maybe you want to add something dun sa tanong ko kanina kay Marco about the gains ng sport, no, after yung pag-host natin ng Southeast Asian Games.
Yes, definitely. We are grateful, and we have really seen the benefits, no, ng pag-include ng floorball sa SEA Games. Definitely a big boost, no, sa ating pag-promote ng sport, develop ng sport, and we are again grateful to the organizers, of course, and also our media friends, no, PTV Sports, definitely for covering all sports, and it has really given a good amount of exposure, awareness for our sport, and with that we are truly grateful. No, it's just unfortunate na talaga yung momentum basically was cut due to this pandemic, but again we look forward to really continue pushing and promoting the sport in the country.
Okay, and going back dito kay Marco, you mentioned about the Olympics, na supposedly yung ating International Federation merong moves, or push para ma-include ito sa Olympics. If ever ba, anong Olympic ang tinitignan ninyo? Because apparently yung 2024, sarado na yan yung kanilang calendar. But do you see 2028 or even beyond pa yung possibility na ma-include ang floorball sa Olympics?
Well, actually, no, it's still a long shot kasi the sport is not that big yet. No? Although medyo malaki na siya sa ibang countries, dito sa Pilipinas, hindi pa siya ganun kalaki. No? When it comes to seeing floorball in the 2024 Olympics, 2024 Olympics, it could be a possibility, depende rin sa mga mangyayari ngayon. No? So, very crucial din talaga yung maipasok siya sa SEA Games din sa Vietnam, and also maybe in the next Asian Games. So, we would have to see, no? But if it's not 2024, we couldn't stop din naman. We couldn't stop, but hope din naman that on the next naman is baka naman ma-include, no? So as far as we're concerned, hopefully that the sooner the better for us.
Pero gaano ba katagal yung yung ating association and the International Federation as well, if you're familiar, no? Gaano kalaki, gaano ka-established, and usually anong countries ang talagang nagdo-dominate dito sa sport na to?
Well, to answer, our Floorball Association, National Floorball Association dito, it's quite relatively young, organization. We started back in 2011 promoting the sport. But then once we had put up mga clubs, mga teams, then we founded the Philippine Floorball Clubs Association. So we had 4 founding member clubs in 2015. So that was the official start ng ating National Floorball Association sa ating bansa. And then in terms of course, I think any sport is vying for a spot in the Olympics. And definitely the International Floorball Federation has been Also a relatively new organization, but the growth of the sport has really been drastic, significant din, no? Since its existence in the late 80s na, no? 86 lang siya na-established, 1986. But then now the sport is now being played in over 80 countries. No, I think now roughly about 90 countries now are the member countries now. And definitely, although floorball is a relatively new sport, I think future potential in sport is really big. And we hope to keep this kind of community really to just promote the sport. The yung nature, the fun aspect, of course, and at the same time, really, it can be quite, exciting and competitive.
Yes. And kay Marco again. Marco, basically itong sport na to siguro dun sa mga hindi pa masyado familiar or hindi naintindihan. Ano to? Parang it's like ice hockey without the ice. Parang ganun ba yung laro nito?
Well, basically, if I were to describe the sport, then that's how I would describe it. It's ice hockey without the ice and the gears. So we also have a stick, we also have the ball, we have the goals, we have a goalie. Ice hockey and floorball are very much similar. We have 5 players plus 1 goalkeeper, so 6 players on the field per team. And at the same time, may referees din, no? So takbuhan talaga. So parang ice hockey, when you look at ice hockey and watch ice hockey, you will see that it's all white, tapos merong fiberglass board sa gilid. Makikita mo, yan yung boards to protect puck. They call that cylindrical rubber disc puck. Yun yung pinakabola ng ice hockey. So instead of having that, we have something similar to a ball which has a lot of holes in it. Parang wiffle ball kung tawagin niya daw, may nagsabi. No? So, very, very similar to ice hockey. No? So, para ka nanonood ng ice hockey without the skates, without the ice, and without the gears.
And which is parang safe to say na talagang pampinoy. Because wala namang ice sa atin dito. And probably it helped a lot, Marco, na sumikat yung pelikulang Mighty Ducks. Because I believe after around that time, biglang unti-unti nagkaroon ng mga ice hockey tournaments dito sa atin eh.
Yeah. Well, actually, I also started from ice hockey. No? Pero bago ako nag-ice hockey, nanood muna ako ng Mighty Ducks.
Okay.
So talagang ice hockey talaga yung base ko noon. No? So I was part of a team na nag-represent din ng country sa Hong Kong. No, nag-champion din yung team namin dito, and that's how I really fell in love with the sport. No? So back then, I didn't know about floorball, so I only found floorball dito na sa UP Diliman, so during college. No? And then when I met Ralph, doon na nag-usap na kami. Ralph, this is a very good sport and I think we can excel in this. So bakit naman mag-excel ang Pilipino sa sport na international nang galing? No? In all honesty, ang floorball, di mo naman kailangan ng height. No? So hindi naman siya parang basketball na pag sinabi mo yung sentro, kailangan yung pinakamatangkad na tao. Hindi naman siya gano'n. No? So, ang base ng floorball is nanggagaling sa speed, no? And also dun sa talent na mag-stick handling kung tawagin, no? With the ball. So, doon pa lang, angat na tayo. No? Makikita natin, like our team captain during the Southeast Asian Games for the men's team, he was the smallest guy on the field. But he was also the fastest. No? So, doon pa lang advantage na. No? Height was nothing. Hindi very important ang height. But he was the smallest guy, but he can get the ball from anyone in the court. That's how fast he was and that's how good he was.
So talagang more on skill itong sport na ito?
Skill and speed, yes, I would say.
Okay. And ikaw ba, Ralph, ganun din? Pareho rin ba kayo ni Marco na sa ice hockey rin? Or any other sport related to floorball ang naging pre-floorball sport mo?
Well, for me, I would say frustrated ice hockey, no? So I think tama yung time natin is watching, yung 3 movie series na Mighty Ducks, no? So watching that, wanting to play ice hockey rin, pero fortunately, syempre, we didn't get the opportunity. doon, no? But before getting into floorball, of course, I was involved in other sport then, no? Particularly, actually, I was competing then sa fencing. Okay, so I used to be a fencer then. But then yun nga, sa UP, when we started in University of the Philippines in Diliman, when the sport was introduced to us, yung floorball, that's how I learned to enjoy and love the sport. No? And ngayon, we just want to share and for other Filipinos to experience it. Tulad nga nabanggit ninyo, sport is really for for everyone, no? Anyone, just because you just need a stick, ball, and then you can play. So it's quite simple, easy, and fun sport to try. And that made us continue, sharing and developing the sport here in the country.
And Ralph, in trying to put up this group and eventually promoting floorball, no, sa ating bansa, what were the challenges na pinagdaanan ninyo? And for sure, one of the challenges is that ang hirap kasi makapasok sa mainstream sports, because masyado tayong involved sa basketball, volleyball, boxing, and to some extent yung billiards, and parang outside of that it would be a very, very tough work, tough work to do para makaabot ka sa ganung level. Ano ba yung mga challenges and what were the beliefs that you had, para mag-spend kayo ng enough time dito sa pag-promote ng floorball?
Yes, definitely. It was a real challenge, like you said, competing with other mainstream sports and seeing floorball, And if you ask other people about floorball, wala sila idea. So it was really a challenge. And I mean, yes, we know ice hockey, familiar tayo, or yung ilan familiar sa ice hockey, pero still, it's quite a foreign sport para sa mga Pilipino. And in our experience promoting, introducing the sport sa mga schools, actually, we started sa mga schools. Once you get to try the sport, yung hands-on try ng sport, maganda yung reception ng mga players, in fact, mga students, lalo na kapag mga bata, introduce it to young children, they enjoy it, they learn it fast and quick, so that's, I think, key, to start introducing the sport to the young people. Doing this, it's really challenging, but we are, again, grateful, fortunate to have a strong community, because most of us doing the work here is really voluntary. I think talking about belief, I think you want to cultivate that kind of culture as a floorball that really contribute something, voluntarily out of your the love, passion for the sport,
All right, and I have a common question for you both, and perhaps I would be 99% sure about this, na kapag kayo ay nag-i-introduce to someone na pinakilala kayo, I'm sure pag sinabi nyo na naglalaro kayo ng floorball, ang madalas na reaction is, ano yun? I'm sure it happened early part, nung binubuo ninyo, but how was your reaction? Usually ba meron kayong ready answer sa ganong reaction sa inyo? Siguro si Marco muna.
Well, for me, on my part, yes, may mga nagtatanong definitely. Very curious, So, ang unang iisipin is, ano yung floorball? Parang futsal. Yan ang laging tanong sa akin. Futsal ba yan? Sabi, hindi naman. Pero wala kaming set answer on paano namin sasagutin yung mga tanong na gano'n. So, natural lang ang pagsagot kasi alam naman namin pareho kung paano laruin ng floorball and alam naman namin kung paano explain. So, I guess, mas natural lang, So, gano'n lang ang pagsagot namin. So,
yeah, indeed, we get a lot of questions about it. What is floorball, karaniwan? And sa experience namin, syempre, before you introduce to a community or to a school, di ba? Siyempre, kausap mo muna yung mga administrator, principal, di ba? So, kailangan handa ka talaga. So, when we come there, una siyempre, pakita mo with the equipment. I think that helps a lot, no? Explaining the sport. And once they see the stick, they would ask or they would recognize right away na, ang hockey yata yan. So, at least may ganun kahit pa paano, no, na similarities, no, with the quite a familiar sport na hockey. So that's where we usually start. Tulad na natanong nyo rin kanina, Sir Dennis, no, na parang hockey to, basically hockey na walang ice. So it helps a lot, no, na when you have to go there, really show you equipment, yung bola. And of course, nowadays, when you approach yung mga bata or community, then simply show a video, no, and well, actually inform them or ask them if they have known floorball. And yun, with the technology din talaga ngayon, no? With the internet, syempre, you can easily Google it and watch it on YouTube. Basta you just type in floorball, and that makes it a lot easier, convenient para sa pag-promote namin ng sport.
Okay. And Ralph, alam mo, ako, sabi ko personally, dahil mahilig tayo sa basketball, at talaga namang basketball crazy nation tayo, ako nga sinasabi ko, taga-ampon ng ibang sports ay yung basketball. Kasi most basketball courts, kumbaga, yung basketball gym, gagawin ng isang gym for basketball, and then na lang papasok yung volleyball, lalagyan na lang ng net, or boxing, lalagyan ng ring, and any other sport. Sa inyo ba, ano ba usually yung standard na venue ninyo? And is a basketball gym also a venue para sa inyo?
Yes, yun yung karaniwan din na challenge, no, sa amin. Kasi playing floorball in international or standard na court or field is relatively larger, no, compared sa karaniwan natin na mga court dito sa Pilipinas na mga basketball court. So mas malaki siya definitely than a basketball court. So in fact, it's measured 40 by 20 meters. Whereas yung basketball ay 30 by 15 lang, no? And so yun yung karaniwan na challenge. Pero maganda sa floorball, very versatile or flexible siya. So pwede mong laruin kahit saan.
Okay. And Margo, usually if you get to talk with yung mga bata, no, in trying to convince them, so far sa iyo, ano yung most convincing, no, na statement or explanation na binibigay mo sa kanila para all of a sudden biglang magkaroon sila ng interest? Kumbaga sa experience mo, ano yung usually na nasasabi mo para magkaroon sila ng interest sa floorball?
Well, unang-una, pagka ganyang sitwasyon po, ang una ko pong pinagagawa is that invite ko muna sila na manood ng laro. So, kadalasan naman po, kung wala naman yung pandemic, no? So may mga tournaments tayo, may mga paliga tayo, no? Or mga exhibition games or open practices na kung saan kahit sino pwede maglaro. So ang una kong pinagagawa is that pinapupunta ko sila at that time na kung saan yun yung appropriate age for them, no? So kung kunyari bata, papupuntahin natin sila sa practice ng mga bata, no? So kung medyo college or mas matanda, pinapupunta natin sa practices ng universities like UP, no? Minsan merong mga open practices sa UP. So ang isa pang paraan na pag-promote ko ng sport is that ito nakita ko, no? Anak ko nung SEA Games last year, binigyan ko ng stick, no? Kumuha ko ng stick, no? Regalo ito nila Sir Ralph, no? So maraming salamat. So binigay ko pa lang yung stick, no? Very natural sa bata talaga na pagka may stick, papaluin yung bola. Yung anak ko, 1 year, 11 months. Binigay ko pa lang yung stick, pinapalo na yung bola. So innate na sa tao na pagka may stick, papaluin yung bola. So ang pinakamadali is that what I tell them is try to see the sport first. And then habang nakikita nila, papahawakin ko naman ng equipment. So, pagkahawak ng equipment, then tutulungan na. ito yung sport ng floorball, no? Ganito mag-stick handling, ganito mag-ano. And then also I tell them that hindi naman kailangan na maging sobrang competitive para maging part ng isang community ng sport. So, ito namang sport na to, it's pinopromote din natin yung wellness at yung health. No? So, hindi naman kailangan na sasali ka sa mga malalaking competition. So, meron tayo mga recreational activities na ginagawa ng floorball na kung saan pwede naman silang sumali. So, doon naman, sa pagkakataon na yun, pagka hindi naman sila na pressure na kailangan ganito, sasali ako sa ganito, sasali ako sa ganyan. No? So, mas nagiging attracted sila dun sa idea ng paglaro ng sport.
Buti nga ikaw, ganon, Marco, pagbigay mo ng stick, nagkaroon ng interest agad eh. I remember yung pamangkin ko, during the height nung young husbands, football, yung unang pasok ng Ascals, binilang ko ng goal at saka ng bola. Thank you very much, Tito Dennis. Kaso nakita niya yung ring sa pintuan, dun sinut. James, 3 points. So,
Of course, yes.
Wala, basketball talaga eh. Sige, Marco, Ralph, standby lang kayo. Babalikan namin kayo. We'll just take a quick break. Pagbabalik kami, kwentuhang floorball dito lamang sa PTV Sports.